workouts outside, and I do have some equipment, and I will be posting some full workouts, but I wanted to do a couple of rainy day sort of kind of pared down things that you can do right in your house. So I'll do a couple rainy day workouts, and then probably come the weekend we'll have some other full workouts for you by the weekend. Okay, so starting off, I always start off every workout with a breathing drill. So for a number of really important reasons. A, breathing is sort of the key for core and core function. So what we're looking for essentially is, yes, we want strength, but what the core, really all the musculature really depends upon is coordination, timing, and synergy. And so in regards to the core, that you really begin to access that through breath, through breathing. So as you inhale, the diaphragm descends, the pelvic floor kind of trampolines against it, and then the muscles of the abdominal wall expand. So that's what we're looking for, essentially. What we want to avoid is breathing patterns like this. This is a sort of a fight or flight type of strategy, and with all the stress in people's lives, we don't want to sort of exacerbate or have more of that in our lives. So proper breathing mechanics is super important. Your vagus nerve travels right through a hiatus in the diaphragm along with the esophagus, which of course innervates all of your organs. It's part of your parasympathetic nervous system, sort of the rest and digest. So we want to help that work properly. And of course, we can do access this all breathing. So I usually start off, I like to give myself a little bit of a pillow to help encourage neck long and the chin gently tucked. The ribs are down. We don't want to be flared out like this. So ribs down. So we want to think about the rib cage going down towards the belly button. So long neck, chin tucked, chest wide. So chest wide means shoulders away from the ears, wide to the chest, and we want our pelvis essentially flush. You should feel your sacrum, your shoulder blades, the back of the head on the floor. So in this position, pick a spot on the ceiling in which I'm pitting all my attention. And I usually will use my fingers to help cue my breathing. So I'll take a breath in, breathing in for a count of 2, and exhaling for a count of 4. For starters. What I want to feel is expansion below. I'm tensioning that air out and reserving that intra-abdominal pressure I've created. And I'll check on the sides. Am I getting lateral expansion? Extremely important that I'm getting expansion outward. Keeping your exhales twice as long as your inhales. Oxygen is delivered on the exhalation. It's very important that we have good exhales, especially for that reducing that sort of stress response. Also, breathing in, we should breathe in, and you should feel the back almost breathe into the floor. So once I feel like I have all the sort of quadrants going, and I do this for a couple of minutes, once I really feel like I've greased the wheels, then I'll begin to lift an extremity. One, and then the other. Now nothing should change in this position, neck long, chin tucked, chest wide, ribs down. Now often what I'll do is I'll press my heels up towards the sky, and I should feel my lower abdominal region kick on. There should be some extra expansion to the abdominal wall, and you should feel that turn on. Then once I have that, hands, arms at 45 degrees on either side. So I'll hold here, and then slowly inhaling, exhaling on the movement. You can't go too slow. You really want to, name of the game is intra-abdominal pressure. keeping it not going into extension and not just mindlessly flailing your limbs around. Really, really dialed in and concentrated. It's actually quite difficult. So then once I've gone through a couple of those, I like to sort of place my hands beside of my knees. Arms are straight, elbow pits, armpits. I'm sort of pretending like I'm squeezing an orange underneath, in between them. Pressing my knees into my hands into my knees. And then I'm going to just try to roll my whole body as one unit. It's very hard. So that can kind of help keep the cylinder as you begin to roll. So that's actually quite challenging. From there, last thing I'll do is once I've kind of greased those wheels, then I start a rolling pattern. Then I'll really work to move as one unit over to my elbow. All the cues still in check. A couple of those. If you get really tired, your abs get kind of worn out, go ahead and just knock out a few bridges. When you're bridging, very important that we're not doing some little breakdance move and having our pelvis flop around. We want to maintain the neck long, chin tuck, chest wide. I recommend maybe putting your fists against the front of your pelvis to give yourself some downward pressure, and your torso should move as one unit, up and down. You should primarily feel your glutes, stretch on the front of the thighs, and down to a flat back. You don't want to be breaking and wobbling through the abdominal area. So basically after I go through that, and you can play around with however long. Sometimes I'll do this for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, depends. So that'll help us segue into the first exercise. Usually what I'll do is after coming over here, then I'll post up. And so the first exercise, I'll show you the posted up position. So elbow is in line with the hip. The bottom of my heel is in line with my sit bone. This foot is intersecting my ankle. And again, I'm having this long trunk. You want to think about sending all of this hip away. We don't want to be droopy through the core. We want to maintain all those points. Pressing through the elbow, shoulders centered, no gushy shoulders, so we're going to push the floor away. So if you push the floor away, you reach for the ceiling and really feel the scapula spread apart. Then you're going to push the lateral part of your knee and lift. Good. And now we can kind of, as we're really pushing to that lateral part of your knee, you're going to kind of swivel back and forward. And we want to have your body going as one unit. So I usually do this for about 30 seconds or a minute. We'll do that on both sides. So now we're really connecting the oblique chain, connecting that with the glutes, the hips, making sure that I have a long spine. Pressing up. Inter-abdominal pressure. Swiveling, really pushing through that leg. It should feel pretty spicy through here. If you don't have the swivel yet, you can also just kind of hold this position. You can use this foot as a bit of a kickstand. You should feel the side of glute in your obliques when you do it. So from there, go into my next exercise, and if you have weight, you're more than welcome to use it. And if not, you can of course do body weight. So here I'm going to go into a single leg deadlift, but I'm going to do it with my rear foot supported. So I'm lucky I have these cement floors to work with. If you don't, get carpet, whatever, you can use furniture sliders, paper plates. If you don't have a step to use, you can use the floor, but this works pretty well if you have a little step. So, I'm going to use the weight. I will stagger my front foot here about a foot's distance from the step. Back foot's up here. So I want to spread all my toes out wide, and I want to get that tripod of my foot connected to the floor. The tripod is first metatarsal, fifth, and heels. And we kind of want to have that in place. Then from there, I'm simply going to push my hips back. Back, 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 back. Hold, hold. Now, long spine, neck long, chin tuck, chest wide, ribs down. I'm feeling my foot and my glute really working. Stand. Really pushing back. I'm digging in with my back toe, I'm creating even more tension on the way back. Holding, I got loading, holding, holding, holding. Up. Back, back. I like to use this hand to monitor my low back to make sure that I'm not going into extension. There we go. Good. Now range of motion here is really irrelevant. It doesn't do you any good if you go way back and go into bad position. Figure out what your sweet spot is. Less is more with all of the exercises. If you have a hard time keeping your back flat, borrow the broom. You can keep yourself honest with a dowel. You can always do this. Push your hip back and forward using the dowel. One way to keep you honest. Usually with clients, I always have people learn how to do hip hinging, both legs, and then one leg. So kind of throwing people into the fire a little bit with this one. So now I'll do it on my other side. Good positioning. You also, one thing that's helpful, you can imagine if you put your finger here as I descend or as I go backwards, it's almost as if you should capture your index finger between your thigh and your abdomen. And then you know you're getting a good hinge. Boom. Monitor the back. Back. Slow, slow, slow. Load. I'm loading, holding, holding. Feel the foot, the muscles working, the butt. Up. Back, 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 up. At this pace or at that tempo, I'll usually do 5 or 6 repetitions. Especially if you're going really slow, eccentric, holding isometrically and then doing it, 6 reps is probably the sweet spot. Next exercise is called bear position. So starting off in quadruped, we want our legs directly under our hips, our arms directly under our shoulders, middle fingers are dead ahead. Elbow pits are in line with your thumb, or that between your thumb and your index finger. So again, neck long, chin tucked, chest is wide, so shoulders away from the ears, rib cage is down. We don't want to be like a camel, sagging like this. We don't want to be rounded like a turtle. So you have to find that middle ground. Pushing the floor away. Checking the spine, make sure it's good. And I'm lifting the knees 1 inch. As you do this, the spine shouldn't change. You should be able to maintain that position. So we go from low bear to high bear. I usually will rock here a couple times, kind of find a good weight distribution. Inhale, lift 1 foot. As I lift an extremity, nothing should change. Hands are hard. Now going for opposite. Foot and hand. It's actually harder than it looks. So, with the bear position, a lot of times I have people just get in a position and start with 1 foot and the other foot. It's really challenging. I think doing fewer reps is probably the way to go before you get too tired. But really important is setup. Making sure you're set up for success here. Making sure the spine is good. Really making sure the shoulders are not here. So, you know, we don't want to do that. And doing, I don't know, I think 4 reps is probably ample. Then after that, I have band pull aparts, so getting kind of posterior delt and getting the back involved. Standing wise, you want to make sure that when we pull that we don't do any of this kind of stuff. So, long chin tuck, chest wide, hips down, abs are on. I'm going to pull the bottoms of my fist straight back. 2, 3, from this, pull it straight back. You should really feel the backs of your shoulders, the posterior delts, and I'll do anywhere from, depends on resistance, 12, 15 reps. You can do higher reps than that. So that's 1 round down. I'll do 1 more round of the main things. So we start off with a breathing drill. We did that to kind of grease the wheels. Then we're going to our 4 main exercises. With the hip lift, I'm going to give you some regressions. The most regressed is called modified oblique sit. It looks something like this, where the bottom hip is 90 degrees. The other leg, the knee is sort of tucked in by the Achilles on this side. The elbow is in line with the hip. And again, we don't want to be, I mean, might look, you know, we don't want to be like this. So, getting this sorted out. And in this position, I'm going to merely reach in the same angle as my knee. You're going to feel a big stretch in the glutes or hip area. And then if you want, you can press and just lift like a millimeter and back. That's a little bit easier to do. So again, you're rotating, the cylinder is rotating on your humerus and your femur. We don't want to be twisting or breaking the cylinder. Rotating, pressing to that lateral part of my knee, lift. So that's the easiest one. Next difficult one, here and up. Doing that. Of course, the third hardest, if you have weight, you can press here. All the cues in place. Lift. And hold. Okay, so those are your 3 options. Whichever option you choose, I don't worry about it too much. I go up and I'm hanging out. I'll do 30 seconds or a minute. When I start to feel myself get tired and fatigue, I don't wait till I fatigue totally, because that's when everything falls apart and that's when things go wrong and things can hurt. So I'm holding. I can hang out here for a little bit longer. I'll start to feel fatigue. My shoulders will want to collapse. So really check in with how you're feeling. You start to fatigue, down, and rest. So oblique sit, choices here, or with weight. There are many other choices, but just for today, those are the options. I'd say hold it for 30 seconds. Is probably enough per side. Then next we have our single leg deadlift. Get my trusty sock. Sock on. Here at the step. Now, connecting to the foot, using the tripod, monitoring the low back, having a sense of a string pulling me up, so I'm long to the spine, and I hinge. Until I feel loading in my foot, my arch, and my glute, and up. So slow, loading. If you want to make it a little extra spicy, you can lift the back foot a couple of times, really load it up, stand. Remember, range of motion doesn't matter. You want to use the range of motion that is accessible to you. People tend to go too far with a lot of things. So I suggest doing 6 reps per side. If that's troublesome, if you have a hard time, you can do a kickstand one where you actually have your back foot planted and do it. But anybody who would want any kind of coaching, be happy to just contact me and I'll give you some alternatives remotely. Okay, so 6-6, then we have bear. So middle fingers ahead, elbow pits in line between the thumb and the index finger, shoulders are away from the ears. I'm pressing the earth away. My neck is long, my chin is tucked, my chest is wide, my ribs are down. And I could do a little mini cat-cow. You don't want too much of this and too much of that. So halfway in between is usually about right. I'll check it. Breathing into the barrel, filling up with intra-abdominal pressure. Low bear, high bear. You can make little adjustments if you need to with your feet if you're not quite right. Now you can just think about getting light on one hand. Think about getting that. No, I lost it a little bit on that one. Now going opposites. And that pretty much, even that little bit does me in. That's really hard. I'm still working on it myself. So when you're up in the bear, make sure all the cues are there. Just do it till you had enough. You see, it didn't take long before I kind of wore out. Trusty band. Boom. I'm gonna do 12, 15 or so. Doesn't matter, whatever works for you. Pick a number that's doable, but not completely to failure. That's kind of rule of thumb. All right, so those are your 4 exercises. I would cycle through these 3 to 4 sets. I would start with 3, even 2, depends on how you're feeling for starters. So again, oblique sitting, single leg deadlift, bear, then pull aparts. Try 3 sets of the prescribed, about 30 seconds here, about 6 reps doing the eccentric isometrics. Let's just call this bear 30 seconds, and let's say 12 or so repetitions, 12 to 15, 10 to 15 of these guys. I'm going to post some full workouts when the weather's better outside, but that's a little something to gnaw on. If you have questions, you can contact me. My number is 323-717-6018. 323-717-6018. And call or text. And if you need any help at all remotely, let me know. I'm going to help all the members out as much as we can to get the club back up and running. Anyway, thank you so much.